With regards to what went on with Low Life and the artists, it wasn't really my handling. That wasn't what I was there to do. Suspect Packages kind of started in my kitchen, and then they gave it to Excalibur, and I was like, rah, okay. And they were like, we've got to go on top of the pops. I wanted to help artists. I knew there was an issue being heard in this country, hip-hop wise. We did early shows with Prodigy before they were massively famous, because their link at the time was their manager was from Peterborough. Superhuman with super scope scanning night sights, propelling arms and wings that fly me through the foggy skylights.
Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to receive the notifications. From fan to artist to radio presenter to working behind the scenes, giving UK hip-hop artists an avenue that hadn't existed before in the same way. My guest today created opportunities for so many, which more than likely helped change a few lives in the process. I'd like to welcome to the 521 Sofa Chat the entrepreneur that is Disorda. What was that? Boom!
Don't know. Gunshots.
Keeping it hip hop. How you doing, bro?
I'm good
to see you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Where was your upbringing?
In a small village outside a place called Peterborough, called Market Deeping. My mum was a guide leader, and she had a jumble sale. I remember coming home from that jumble sale with a record player. And before that, I was always buying cheap 7 inches from John Menzies.
Okay.
I was kind of a big pop fan, loved pop, but then as kind of the music kind of changed, and you used to hear like electronic kind of tunes coming in and things like, I don't know, Beat This and things like that. You know, that was probably a bit later, but yeah. But I just remember kind of liking that a lot and hearing breakdancing, and when it kind of first came over to the UK, kind of just getting involved in that. I used to breakdance down the shops with my mates, roll up the lino, listening to electro tapes, Mike Allen, radio, that was it. John Peel, used to listen to John Peel, and that was it. I knew that kind of hip-hop was the way. Music has always been in my life from a young age, from sort of 12, 13. I've always had a fascination with it. It's not until I kind of grew up and got into music that I kind of realized how much I love music. And from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed, it's music. I'm always listening to music.
So who have you got to thank for that? Was it your mom, your dad,
no,
sister, brother?
No, this is what's always confused me. I don't really know where it's come from in my family. When my grandfather passed away, I remember finding a record player in his garage, and I didn't know he had that record player. But whenever we would go and visit him, he had a really cool tape deck with a really cool pair of headphones. And I remember listening to music through those headphones when we went to visit him. He was in a place just outside Rochdale, and we used to go up and visit them. And I used to listen. He used to make compilation tapes of his classical music, and he would always meticulously write on them. And I definitely get that side of things from him, like the intricacy of writing track names and da-da-da-da-da. But I remember tuning in, going up, and really looking forward to going up there and getting these headphones on, because I'd never heard music sound so good through these headphones. And I used to tune into Key 103. And I used to pick up Stu Allen in Manchester and listen to the Bust This radio show. Our record collection at home was a German beer drinking song album, Dire Straits' Money for Nothing, The Jungle Book, Madonna. It was a small section. And we had our little kind of stereo with a glass door at the bottom, you know, like one of the old school ones with a tape deck. And that's where I used to sit and record Mike Allen. And the tape to tape, and then recording from the charts as well, because we never had any pirate radio or anything like that where we were. We used to get the odd kind of dubbed tape of Westwood that would reach us, and that was like, oh my gosh, that's so sick. And I used to always love like the jingles and stuff like that. And we used to pretend to be on the radio, me and my mate. in his room, and we would make tapes of radio, pretending to have a radio show. And then I just carried on collecting, got massively into hip hop music from there.
Was there any other kind of music that you were into?
But yeah, I used to listen to Suicidal Tendencies, Anthrax, and stuff like that, and and I used to just skate to it because I used to watch a few skate videos, and I quite liked the music that went with the skating. So yeah.
Because I noticed as the years progressed, a lot of people that were into skating got into hip hop.
I don't really know if there was a link to hip hop and to music and skateboarding. I can't really think that was something that drew me to it. I can just remember just fully getting into hip hop and being like, wow, this is it. I'd kind of left the pop music that I was into. I ended up becoming a big Madonna fan. I do remember when I was younger having lots of pictures of Madonna on my wall. But then directly from wanting to find more hip hop through listening to people like John Peel and listening to the whole of his show, I then discovered sort of reggae music. But yeah, hip hop and reggae were the first sort of loves that I got into massively.
If I throw a name out there, Shades of Rhythm.
Looking back on it now, were massively influencing in my musical taste, because when I went to college, we would have been sort of 15, 16 when we left school, and I used to make fake ID from the college pass with our dates on with Letraset, so that we could get into a weekly club night that Shades of Rhythm were DJing at, called the Attic in Peterborough. Now this spot was around the same time where you would hear hip hop, street soul, house music, acid, all in one night. And they used to do this weekly night every Friday that we used to get into because of my fake ID. We blatantly weren't 18, but we were there literally as they opened every week. In the end, they just used to let us in and give us free drinks because we were there every week. But looking back on it now, I now see that as a massive influence in what I kind of grew up with musically. I was always kind of a hip hop kid, but when the whole rave thing took off, and kind of before that, it was kind of around the time I heard sort of Gunshot and Yourself and Hard Noise, and in our local R Price shop in town, there must have been someone in there that knew their business, because that's where I first picked up the early UK hip hop 12s, and through listening to John Peel and people like that, hearing Crispy and thinking, okay, it's not just a London thing. There's people with northern accents. This is sick. I love this. But yeah, I got John Peel, God rest him. He was massively influential in getting people out there.
Who would you say was the most influential DJ out of all of them?
I think it kind of depends where you were from, because where we were from, we only had John Peel and I'd say Mike Allen from an early age, because he was syndicated on the radio shows up and down the country. I think everyone of my generation would say Mike Allen, because who weren't in London, and obviously the early Westwood shows. We would get tapes of his early Capitol shows. They're the ones I remember. And yeah, getting tapes of those was great. Hearing a lot of stuff from that. But then from hearing those records, and we used to get a few in our local shops in Peterborough. We had a HMV, we had an R Price, and there was a good dude, shout out to Mr. Clubman in HMV, again, who used to DJ at the Attic, and he was into hip hop, so he would get us our fix. But then me and my mate would also travel to London when we were sort of 14, 15 on the coach and go to Groove Records, and we used to go around. We used to go to all the spots. We used to pick up all the flyers, and our thing was on the coach coming back to Peterborough, was looking at the flyers,
for
looking
14,
at the
15-year-olds. That must have been like crazy exciting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because you must just kind of see everything on your doorstep, and you don't realize a whole world exists outside of that. And then you go there, and it's a whole different dimension.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. We used to love going to London, and I did that every month. And then from there we were listening to the rave stuff that we would listen to at the same time. So I was really massively into that old, got into the UK hip hop thing, all the fast break beats and stuff. Loved it, And then that kind of around the same time, the rave thing exploded, and
we
got massively into that from the club we were going to.
Talking about that period of your life, urban hype. I hear from a little birdie something about you being on Top of the Pops dancing for them.
Yeah, that was fun. So, yeah, basically when, again, we used to go to all these raves, and I remember there was one of these raves we went to, which was in our local town that Shades of Rhythm put on. And, well, I don't know if it was a Shades of Rhythm show, but they were performing. Urban Hype were performing, who I kind of knew of. It was in the same venue, actually, that I saw Public Enemy and Third Bass in when they came over in 88, 89. So this would have been, actually, obviously it wasn't that time, but I remember seeing them. But yeah, so we were dancing, and obviously I was hip hop. We'd break danced, so I was always quite footworky with the dancing. And then, cut a long story short, they came up to me at the end of their show and said, "Do you want to dance for us?" This was Urban Hype, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." So, yeah, I then ended up dancing with them for about 2 years with another male and a female, two friends of mine from the rave scene in Peterborough, where they would dance as well. But because my background was hip hop and I used to MC at that time as well, I ended up being the front man for the group. So I would MC and hype the crowd up as well as dancing.
Okay.
But because I was so hyper, they used to call me MC Bounce, which I forgot about until someone reminded me the other day. And it was like, MC Bounce. I was like, oh my God, that's me.
Yeah.
So we did all the massive raves, World Dance, Rain Dance. We went all over. We went abroad. We did early shows with Prodigy before they were massively famous, because their link at the time was their manager was from Peterborough. So we used to see Leroy in town in Peterborough quite a bit. And so that's where their little link came in. We did a show in Essex with them before they got massive.
Did I just hear you correctly? You had links with Prodigy at the time as well?
Well, yeah, kind of. Well, not me personally, but within Urban Hype, yeah, because it was all one little unit, because Urban Hype had links with Peterborough, Shades of Rhythm were from Peterborough, Prodigy were, I think one of them was from Peterborough, I could be wrong there, and I know that their early manager was also linked to Shades of Rhythm at the time. So, we were all doing,
so it was quite close-knit.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember doing shows with Rat Pack. We did a live thing on Kiss FM at the Camden Palais once. We did some massive raves. I remember we did like 2 or 3 in one night.
So this was all paid work, so now you're a professional.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I can't really remember much about the money side of things. I was just loving it. I mean, at the time, my mum and dad had just divorced. So I look back on it now and I think, my God, what was my mum thinking? She was just, this is when all the acid house and raves thing was all over the newspapers.
Mm-hmm. And it was all trouble.
Yeah. And my mum and dad had just split up. And I think my mum just kind of just let me go off and do this. But she didn't really know who I was with. She didn't really know these people. There was 2 of them. They were really lucky. They were really nice guys. So they were from Eastleigh, which funnily enough isn't far from where I live now. But yeah, we did that, and we used to go up and down the country, and my mum wouldn't know where I was, but I came back, and I was always quite grounded. I always got offered loads of things that you shouldn't get offered at that age, and I was always quite sensible with it. I was just like, no.
You were taking it and you were selling it.
No, yeah, I was like selling it. No, I just loved the music, and I loved dancing. I loved performing. I loved and the fact that I could be on stage and see thousands of people just going nuts. And I was just like, put your hands in the air. And I was like, yeah, okay.
And you were still a teenager at this point?
Yeah, I was like 15, 15, 16 at this point. And then, yeah, so I did that for about 2 years, up and down the countries. And then it was around the time that kids' TV programs started to get sampled in rave music. And I remember them playing me a song called Trip to Trumpton that they'd done, sampling Camberwick Green. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, a nice little breakbeat kind of thing going on with it. And I was like, this is what it is, it's kind of cool at the moment. Didn't really think anything of it. And then all of a sudden we got to number 7 in the charts with it. And they were like, we've got to go on Top of the Pops. And I was just like, no way am I doing Top of the Pops. I was just, I'm not doing it. And I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, let's do Top of the Pops. So yeah, we did Top of the Pops, and I remember being there with, and it was a suburban bass group were with us at the same time on the same show. They did the track Smarties, which sampled.
I remember the tune.
Gonna take you down to Sesame Street. Yeah, so they sampled Sesame Street. And they were there, and basically Steve Jackson from Kiss FM was with them. I think he must have been their manager. And from what I remember, I think his girlfriend or something was working for the Daily Mail at the time, and we staged a fight backstage to get in the paper the next day. So we did that. I remember Joe Cocker being there, and I didn't know who he was. I was like, "Who's that?" in the changing room opposite, and it was Joe Cocker, and he was just really drunk. But I remember him being there. I think Tina Turner might have been there that night. But yeah, and then yeah, we got on. We did Top of the Pops, and then we did like a video, which if you Google, you'll see I'm in this video for Urban Hype. And then all of a sudden, it was kind of just before Christmas. I remember them taking, all the compilation albums that would come out at Christmas. Then my face ended up, because there's a part in the video where I'm going, pew, pew, Barney McGrew, Cuthbert Nibble Grub, like this, right? And they took that part from the video, because I was the front man of this group, all the vocal bits, there were samples they put on me, and it was the same when we went to the Top of the Pops. So they took my face from the video, and it was in loads of adverts all over Christmas. So next day I'm watching TV at Christmas, and I keep seeing my face on all these adverts. I'm like, oh my God. But and then after that, they kind of we did a few more shows after that, and then I think they got some different dancers from their area. They continued a bit, but then it just kind of fizzled out. I don't really know what happened, and then I just literally went straight back into hip hop, and yeah. So the whole rave thing, kind of, I loved, and I still love all my rave tunes, and jungle. And
when did you move to London?
Yeah, I moved to London in '94. Got a job working for. I was doing I left college. Actually, no, yeah, I did leave college. I didn't finish college because I got a job working for photographers that would train me to do some photography. I moved from like a reprographic printing place in Peterborough that was for the National Rivers Authority. It was really good fun, actually. Loved it. Large scale photocopying on big machines, and it was really good fun. From there, I got a job at a small photographers in Peterborough. They trained me up, and then from there I got a job with, that was more sort of photography, and then from there I got a job in London working for Xerox, and we used to work in 24-hour print rooms.
I know what's coming now. I know. Oh God, here we go.
So yeah, that was great fun, and we used to work shift work. And yeah, it was great. Massive investment banks, Merrill Lynch, Citibank, and 24-hour print rooms. And that's when I moved to London. I moved out of home, moved to London.
Don't tell the story yet, though.
Yeah.
Most people use their kitchen for cooking, but you use your kitchen for something else. Do you want to explain?
Suspect Packages, excuse me. Suspect Packages kind of started in my kitchen with boxes of records from doing the UK Hustlers tapes. It expanded into selling the music I was putting on the tapes, and then it just kind of grew and grew, and I had a little office in the kitchen in Deptford, and the records just grew and grew the more I got, and stock wise.
That's when we became neighbours as well.
Yeah, in the manor.
Yeah. So that kitchen, I mean,
yeah.
If you had to advise anybody on starting their business in the kitchen, what would you say to them?
Go for it. Yeah, it's good. Easy accessible, beans on toast.
You said that Suspect Packages was started off the back of Intelligent Madness.
Yeah.
But there was a whole lot of other things that you were doing at the time as well, the Hustlers. And,
yeah. So when going back a little bit, when I kind of was hearing UK hip hop, I was going to London to buy it because you couldn't get it apart from a little spot, our price, but I knew there was more. So I would go to London and I'd buy, build up my collection. And then because I was from outside London, I knew there was a problem getting this music heard. So I started I was hearing mixtapes, but no one was really putting UK hip hop on mixtapes. So when I moved to London, I started compiling UK hip hop mixtapes called UK Hustlers. And then I was going around the shops with these. And then I ended up getting people to do exclusives for the Hustlers tapes. But that was built on the back of Intelligent Madness, which was the group that I kind of put together in Peterborough before I moved to London. So we had a tape out and we had a vinyl EP out. And when I moved to London, that was the same time that the vinyl EP came out. And that EP never happened, actually, because I left the test presses on the platform at Peterborough train station. That's another story, though. But they were there and I got them back. So yeah, well, I kind of got to know everyone within London from going around the record shops with our EP, and then I got to know people like MK, and then I started doing the mixtapes, and then that just spawned into 1 volume, 2 volume, and then it ended up being 6 volumes of tapes that you inspired through doing mail order kind of thing. Really,
I was going to say we because you came to my flat in New Cross, and we sat down, and I swear I remember this conversation. Where we were talking about how I was running my business and you know what I mean. So I'm pretty sure that I was talking to you about starting a mail order, not starting a mail order. I think you wanted to do that from watching what I was doing. Yeah. But getting a PO box because you wanted to use your address.
Yeah. So So with the first place I moved to in London was in Limehouse, and that spot was what the Intelligent Madness vinyl EP was named after, which was the No Room EP, because we used to have Deftex from Norwich, Parlour Talk from Bristol, the Numbskulls, I think, might have been down there. But yeah, the whole Bristol Deftex connection, they all used to converge on my spot, Dave the Rough. And we used to just be freestyling in my bedroom, and there was no room in that bedroom, and we used to make tapes of it, and we had they were called the No Room Freestyles. There was about 10 tapes of them. Twist, find those tapes. And so we called the EP the No Room EP. But yeah, and then that kind of spawned into doing the UK Hustlers tapes at the same time. That's when I was doing that. But I started to get loads of demos sent to me and all random things, and I was just like, I can't put my proper address on everything. And so then I remember you had to have a PO box address from buying your record, and having that little slip that you'd write in, and that's how it. People used to send me checks or postal orders. God, I remember them. Yeah. I remember getting this form, and then I filled in all the information with my address. I was like, sick. I'll get my own little name, my own little number, and then it said name of PO box, and I thought, well, I get all these random demo tapes and things sent to me, all different. I'll call it suspect packages.
Did you ever have problems with that?
No, I never really had any problems. A few, and then even now I get the postman's like, oh, you got sent the package. But yeah, no, I've never really had any issues with it, surprisingly. And yeah, then it morphed from the mixtapes, which unbeknown to me ended up, I don't think I was selling. I must have sent a few overseas, but yeah, they were reaching Australia and Japan. And then it got to the point where I was like, I can sell the music I've got on these. And so I started buying directly from the artists. So because I knew all the artists from putting them on the tapes and getting exclusives from them, I then started going directly to the artists to buy their product and say, look, I think I can sell some of your product, because I had this mail order thing that was a piece of paper.
And it was growing.
Then it grew into a 20, 30 page catalogue that I would print out at night on my Xerox. on my night shift, and everyone would help me with the tape covers. So all the tape covers were all done at work, and then I would update it. I'd take off things that were sold, and then I'd post it through the mail room, who were next door to the print room. So we all had a little thing going. But yeah, it was all done through Xerox, basically. So yeah, they really helped me. And then
me and you have a few things in common here. I'm not going to tell my story, but let's just say I did it before you were doing it. So it's interesting to hear that somebody else was doing it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All I will say is, you see all the flyers that I had when I was sending out for my mail order and everything, but yeah, they didn't cost anything. So what's your story with the whole Xerox thing?
Well, it was all done at work, because I wasn't working a 9 to 5.
On the sly though.
Yeah. So everything was done organically. It just grew and grew and grew. to the point, yeah, some of my colleagues were helping me at work, where we were in these big investment banks late at night. There was like 10 people in the building who were trying to get all these reports ready for the morning to fly off to Zurich or whatever. So they would come to us and be like, but sometimes we'd just be sat there like that. But that was the time that I was like, right, I've got to get this printed out before the bosses come in the morning. So everything, I'd take it in, and it would be a catalogue of releases that I would then use the mail order list we had from Intelligent Madness to send to, and that's when it grew. So yeah, then it turned into a website which Spine Magazine, who later became Crooked Tongues, designed for me, because the guy who designed the last couple of tapes, Mind the Gap 2 and UK Hustlers 6, he designed Suspect Packages, who is now working for Adidas.
Okay.
Designing Adidas shoes. Big up, Chris.
Yeah,
so yeah, so that's the Suspect Packages thing, which is still going today.
And that became pretty much a one-stop shop for UK hip hop.
Yeah. Well, that was the strapline for it, and back in British Beats since 1996. And yeah, it just got bigger and bigger. And then I left my job, basically. I went part-time with my job, and then they were like, they got to the point where they needed to have voluntary redundancies. And at that point, I was working so many hours doing both that I thought, actually, I could make a living off this. So I took voluntary redundancy, got a few grand from that, and that was the last proper job I ever had.
Okay.
Sick.
So, I mean, you just said the last proper job.
Wow. Yeah.
That's kind of an understatement.
Well,
really,
yeah. I mean, it was a
nothing.
hobby. It was a hobby that turned into a job. It was something I was really passionate about, still am. I wanted to help artists. I knew there was an issue being heard in this country, hip-hop wise, because I was struggling to find tunes. So that's what Suspect Packages, and the core thing about it, has always been.
I think you've made a lot of powerful moves over the years. And one of the other ones that I figured that you'd done was you were involved with Low Life.
So I did a little bit of help again with kind of handling all of their orders that would come in, and dealing generally with their mail order side of things that would come into the label, and a few little sort of decisions here and there musically. But it was great working there. I wasn't there a lot. It was just again, that was around the time I was working for Xerox, I think. So I would go there after work and go to the Low Life office in Shepherd's Bush at the time, and then later in the West End, and generally handle a lot of their orders that were coming in. I wasn't there a huge amount, but from what I remember, it was basically doing that and then stamping things, like some of the Wild Blow white labels that Task Force did. I would hand stamp those. Yeah, just general bits and pieces like that. I wasn't massively involved, but me and Joe were friends. I used to go there afterwards, and we would chill and hang out, and it was great hearing all of them, because I was a DJ. It was great, getting stuff firsthand, because at that time I was also doing the Suspect Packages show on Itch FM. So that was great to have early promos there for that kind of thing. Plus, I was getting sent promos anyway for that show, and for the UK Hustlers tapes. People would send me their product. So yeah, that was the angle with Low Life. I kind of handled that side of things.
There was all that stuff going on with all the accusations that were thrown at Low Life and Braintax and stuff. I'm guessing I know you well enough to know that you're not the kind of, you just do what you need to do and you go on about. So you wouldn't even have a clue on what's going on there.
No, unfortunately not.
Okay.
No, we were close friends, but yeah, I mean, we went to Australia, because I emigrated to Australia with my family when I was 10. No, when I was 9. I had my 10th birthday in Australia. We came back a year later. Don't know why. But so I knew Australia, and I was a big fan of Australian hip hop as well, which I at some point I did have an Australian end to Suspect Packages over here, so I was importing Australian hip hop here as well. But I think that kind of happened after because Braintax took me on tour to Australia with him and Maestro as their DJ, and we toured Australia for a month, and we did New Zealand as well, And I think I had maybe been out there once before, because I introduced him to loads of people, and then he loved it so much, he then ended up moving out there. And I just remember him saying, yeah, he would always travel. He loved traveling. You knew that from listening to his music. So it didn't surprise me that he came back and fell in love with the place and ended up moving. And he gave me I bought a load of stuff off him. Musically, a lot of the test presses and releases that he had in his collection. I think he took a lot of them over there with him, actually, and then he ended up sending them back to me. But he also gave me a load of the dub plates, the low-life dub plates that we used to use for shows. I've got a load of those still. But no, with regards to what went on with low-life and the artists, it wasn't really my handling. That wasn't what I was there to do. So everything that then came about, I had no idea, of any goings on, good or bad, that had happened, So yeah, and I don't really know what went on there. We kept in contact for a couple of years, 2-3 years after that, but it kind of fizzled out. So yeah, I don't know.
It's a shame because the label was making some big moves, and I feel was helping a lot of artists get out
massively.
there.
Yeah.
So
with regards to helping artists all the time with Suspect Packages and with the radio show, I've always just kept myself to myself and dealt with my business, and I've always had to have a good relationship with artists because of what I do. I buy their product, I buy it off them, I sell it, I promote it, I DJ with it. I don't want to get into beef with anybody. I do what I do, bam, and I like to see myself as a good guy. I've never had any beef with anybody. It's always been on that level, and that's why I think a lot of people respect me for that. Right. So yeah, a lot of people always say, "Oh, you must know what went on with Low Life." I was like, "I don't." Sorry.
Everything that you did with Low Life, everything that you did with Suspect Packages, they led on to bigger things. One of those things that it led on to was Boombox Distribution.
Yeah.
So obviously there was you, there was Skeg running it.
Yeah.
And I also understand that you had people like Beat Butcher that was working there.
Yeah.
But we'll come to that in a minute. But tell us a little bit about Boombox.
Boombox, well, Skeg from Breaking Bread came to me with an idea to set up a distribution company for independent hip-hop, soul, funk. And I was like, yeah, obviously knew there was an outlet for it because of what I was doing.
What year was that?
Oh, gosh.
I think I read somewhere that it was sort of 2003 time it started.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So that's like 6 years after Suspect Package.
Yeah, because Skeg was from Southeast London, where I was, and I used to go to Breaking Bread. I used to DJ at Breaking Bread, so we had that connection anyway. And they used to do the hip hop show before me. Their Breaking Bread show before me on Itch FM every Sunday. Yeah, so we were close. And he came to me with the idea of doing a distribution company, and he said, "I want you to help me to bring in the hip hop side of things because you know all the artists. There's an issue with getting all their product into the shops." I was like, yeah, cool, let's do it. So we did. Suspect Packages always was in the background running and keeping me afloat. And it was at that point that I needed someone to help me run Suspect Packages. So I actually then brought Arnick in from Dark Circle because I used to live with Pats, who was the producer from Dark Circle. So Arnick worked at Suspect Packages at that time. And then Beat Butcher came later when I left Boombox. But yeah, so Boombox we used to supply all the independent record stores up and down the country and abroad. And places like HMV, Virgin, we would supply as well as...
Basically stores artists couldn't get into.
And anywhere basically. And little tiny stores we would supply. And I used to bring the hip-hop side of things because my relationship with the artists, so I would be like, okay, this person has got this come in. I think I think we could move some units on it. It's doing well on Suspect Packages. And Skeg would be like, yeah, cool, let's try it. So I would liaise with the artists and do that side of it, with them. And that's when we would come to you. And you had your CD duplication. And a new thing that distributors weren't doing at the time, they weren't giving out a CD of product that they were doing every month. No, it definitely worked because it was, we gave them a snippet CD Was it a snippet CD? Or was it the full things? Or just a couple of tracks from each release that we would do every month? We would do this CD that would go to stores, and that would help them decide how much stock they would take on. And yeah, that was great. Again, being a DJ, it was great. I used to get, free records. Sick. Not always free, but, cheaper. So that was great. I did that for about 5 years, and then it just kind of got a little bit too much, because Suspect Packages was always running behind it, and that was pretty much keeping me afloat. Boombox we had staff at Boombox, so we had to pay the staff, we had to pay labels, and artists and that kind of thing. Didn't really make much money doing Boombox, and it was just killing me. It got to the point where I was like,
the bigger you're getting, the more people you're paying, so the less you're making.
Yeah, it was like I really need to get out of this situation. And yeah, so that's when I kind of left. I took myself out of Boombox after about 5 years, and just continued 100% with the radio show and with Suspect Packages. And that's when I think Beat Butcher came in to help me, because Arnik decided he was going to go and live in Iceland. So he used to come, and that's when I moved to southwest London, and I had the original Suspect Packages bunker at the end of the garden. And me and Beat Butcher would be in there, and it was great having Beat Butcher.
Did you have a sampler there by any chance?
No. Because he was younger, he was bringing in, the element of, the younger side of the music, So he was always, bringing in tunes and playing them to me, and playing me his music as well, and I could see that he was going to do well with what he did. So yeah, we had a really great relationship until he broke his ankle at my wedding, and that's when he was supposed to be looking after the company whilst we went on honeymoon, and then we get a phone call. Yeah, I'm in hospital. Because we had a big party at my wedding, and the field next door was where all the cars were, and he ran out there in the dark and tripped over, broke his ankle. So yeah, nobody ran Suspect Packages whilst I was on honeymoon. But yeah, Newborn worked for us. Do you know Newborn who ran Beer and Rap?
Okay, I know Beer and Rap. I didn't know them by name.
So Johnny, who was also working at Boombox, and he's gone on to run Sports Banger.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Sports Banger.
Yeah.
So he used to work for us at Boombox.
Okay,
so we gave him his first job as well.
So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I was going to say, it's amazing how many little offshoots come from where you started.
Yeah.
And all of this began in a kitchen.
All from the kitchen in Deptford. Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it?
And that house was great as well. I was there for 7 or 8 years, and Pat's the producer. He was always downstairs, and obviously he was with Dark Circle, and then random other producers would have the other room, Ghost being one of them. Tommy Evans lived with us there. A Saviour lived with us there at one point, I think. Oliver Twist from my crew, Intelligent Madness, he lived on the sofa for a while. It was a great
That's
spot.
Mad.
And then, yourself round the corner, Black Twang up the road. That was good times. Good times.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You know what? Whenever I've seen anything, anytime your name gets mentioned, whenever I've seen anything, I've always kind of thought, this is a guy that has always helped push the scene forward. But I always felt like not enough people know about it. Like you're in the background, and the artists that deal with you know what's going on, but anyone else. And I said similar thing to Paul H when I was doing the interview with him. There's so many people in the background doing what they do, but I just feel like you don't get recognized enough for what you do. Do you know what I mean? So, where that's concerned, do you feel you're getting the right recognition for what you do? Or do you feel that you don't really care?
Bit of both, really. I think, like you say, the people who know, and I'm happy doing what I do. I know what I do helps, the artists. I'm sure, this is what we're here for, to tell the story and to shed light on the people behind the scenes doing things. At the end of the day, I'm still a fan. Coming here today and sat with you, to me, it's just like, whoa, do you know what I mean? Yeah, of course I can come and have a chat with you.
We've sat down before many times.
Yeah, I know, but, I'm still a fan at the end of the day of the music. I mean, the core of what I do is loving the music and DJing. And that's the core of what I've always played music out and wanted people to hear music. because I know what joy music brings, to people. The fact that I kind of scored myself this little niche within the UK hip hop scene is cool, but everyone kind of knows. I kind of thought most people knew me for that. So when, even now, and I'm doing stuff with my record label, people always kind of think, oh, but he's UK hip hop. It's like, no, there's loads more behind it. Like the whole rave stuff as well. People didn't even know about that kind of thing.
A lot of people didn't even know you were an MC.
No, exactly. Yeah, I was an MC. I mean, the only reason I didn't continue MCing was because I was so busy doing the tapes, and I never had time. I was so busy out promoting the tapes and pushing other artists I didn't have time to write rhymes. So that's kind of why I'd stopped there and I'd just continued the DJing side of things.
You had some dealings with Hip Hop Village and Plastic Head Distribution.
Yeah, that was again through all of it's kind of come through Suspect Packages, really, through knowing artists and knowing stores. And there's so many other little things I always remember I did, like I used to work for Trace magazine. If you remember Trace.
Yeah, I do.
So I used to go around the shops, I basically used to, because I used to go to artists to collect their stock. Like I would go up to North London. I used to go to Chester's house. I used to sit and chill with him, as you do. And then I would go I used to have this trolley, and I used to take the stock on the trolley. I used to get up on the bus. I always remember I used to go to Big Dada. I used to love going to Big Dada because that was Ninja Tune as well. So I'd get free stuff from there, stickers and promos and stuff for the radio show. And I had this trolley, and sometimes the trolley would be stacked, and I'd have to get up on the top floor of a double-decker bus with this trolley laden with stock for Suspect Packages.
In North London.
Yeah. And then, I was always going about here and there. And I used to work for Trace magazine. I would take magazines to the stores and that kind of thing. And with Plastic Head Distribution, Dom from Plastic Head approached me and he said, look, so many people. Can you help us with some of these compilations that we're doing and get them into stores for us? So I was working for him for a bit. I think we did some of Kalashnikov's releases through that. But yeah, that was fairly short-lived, but that was good. That was good fun. Again, I was just happy to have something to do as well, to bring in a little bit of money, musically. But it's always been about getting music heard.
Talking about getting music heard, radio stations. I mean, you've done quite a lot of radio work.
Yeah.
Starting all the way back from the early days.
Yeah.
Of I think it was Hinckley.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your radio story?
Well, going back to how I got into music, we would get tapes of things, and we used to pretend to be on the radio and record it, and we had a name, Obsession FM. Obviously, we didn't have pirate, but whenever I would go anywhere near London, or my sister had a boyfriend who lived in Essex, and I remember staying there one time, took my stereo, recorded loads of pirates. I was like, London's the place for pirates. So I used to love tapes and pirates and radio. And just hearing new music. It was all about hearing new music.
And then, on the subject of pirate, why didn't you ever do that? Is this something you just weren't aware of?
As in set up a station? Yeah. Just because I didn't really know the ins and outs of it. I just wanted to do it. As in be on it,
So just, if you had someone technical, you would have done it?
Yeah. I've never really been massively technically minded, in that sense. I wouldn't know. But so basically, Solo One, graph writer, approached me about doing... coming on a slot and doing his pirate station that he had in Hinckley called Mix FM. And he was like, we reach Birmingham and places like this. He goes, I do a hip-hop show in there called Homicide Rap Show. And I remember going there, and I remember when I was 17, because I just passed my driving test. So I was like, Mum, I've been asked to go on a station. And I was like, sick. So I drove there. I remember taking my decks. I don't know why I took my decks, because he must have had decks, but I remember taking the decks. I remember nearly having a crash coming back because I drove the wrong way around a roundabout. I think I just passed my test, so yeah. But I did a few shows, not too many, but I guested on that show, and that really gave me the thirst for it. And then when I moved to London, the Bristol connection came in again, because DJ Sticks, who was from Swindon, also affiliated with the Bristol Parlour Talk crew and Punishing Negative Minds crew, PNM. He was in London and he knew what I was doing through the Hustlers tapes. He got me a slot on Beat FM, which was a Harlesden reggae station, right in the hood, Harlesden High Street. So I used to go there after I'd done my shift at Xerox and do the drive time show. And there was me and him on the station. Everyone else on the station was this yardie.
I like the way you say right in the hood. When you just said Xerox, when you were doing some hood activity.
So then that was straight up reggae pirate. But I was doing a drive time show. So they were like, it's drive time. So you've got to play R&B, a bit of reggae, a bit of hip hop. And I was like, cool, yeah, I can do that. I'm into everything, But yeah, that's where I'd always then play quite a lot of UK hip hop on the station. But it was great, yeah, the tape player on for the adverts and that kind of thing. And that was wicked. I loved doing that show. And I had to do, because it was drive time, I had to do the weather report and things like this. And the only weather report I knew to get was from the free Evening Standard I'd get on the tube getting there. So I was reading off the Evening Standard weather. I was like, so the weather today is going to be la 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 la. Like, shit, next tune. So, and then from there, I did that for about 2 or 3 years, I think. I'm about to unearth some tapes of that I've got at home, which need to be heard, because my voice on there is completely different. And then from there, Itch FM started. I then got approached to do a hip hop show on a new hip hop station that was starting in London, Pirate again. And I was like, yeah, can I do what I want? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, cool, 100% UK hip hop show. And they were like, yeah, we can give you a Sunday night. So I was like, cool. Sunday night, 7 till 9 p.m. every Sunday for 8 years. And had artists come up, and that was great. We had so many different locations all around North London. One of them was from a cupboard at one point. People's houses, you'd walk in and they'd be sat having Sunday roast. You'd be upstairs in their room. Empty flats, disused flats. All with that little bit of edge, like we could get busted at any moment. DTI could come through the door. But it was great. I loved it. The phones would pop off. Shout to the 279, shout to the 160. It would be going. And yeah, shout to the regular listeners. You know who you are. That still listen to my show today.
But that's what music was all about that edginess, that thing that just the average person couldn't have, And I guess.
But again, just breaking the new music. I loved it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there was an excitement about what you were doing, and that was parallel to the excitement of what the artists were doing, and then combining it and making it all come to life, and everyone needed each other. And
at that time as well in London, it was a great time.
Yeah,
hip hop wise, it was all building. You were doing what you were doing, and people were like, Roots Maneuver was coming through. Then we had Tarsor and Mark B. The whole Low Life thing, and then
Jest,
the whole Y&R thing. Everybody, then the station had their own label, which Clash came through, and it was great. It was like, whoa, I'm actually a part of all of this, and that was
a big
sick.
part of it. You brought a lot of them the opportunities that weren't there. Like I said, through what you were doing with Suspect Packages, Boombox, everything. It was the opportunities were ridiculous.
Yeah.
One extra. I heard that there was a possibility of you having a slot there.
Yeah, so I had done a few things with Radio 1 in the past where they brought me in and to do a few little things, UK hip-hop based. And then I heard about One Extra starting up. And previous to that, I'd met Excalibur coming up, and he approached me about wanting to almost kind of emulate what I was doing and help UK artists. And I'd been a big inspiration for him. And he approached me and was just like, can you sort of help me out with some contacts and things? And I was like, yeah, cool. So I met up with him and gave him loads of contacts. And then the whole One Extra thing happened. And then I found out that I was almost like, okay, this is sick. I could get a show on. Surely One Extra must want to come to me, because I'd been doing the show for God knows how many years at that point. So One Extra, I was thinking, oh gosh, surely One Extra would want me to do a hip hop show, homegrown hip hop station. And and then I found out Excalibur was in the run-ins for it, and I was like, okay, cool. And then they gave it to Excalibur, and I was like, rah, okay. And then I was just like, I gave all my contacts to Excalibur, and he started doing what he's doing. I was like, okay, oh well, whatever. I'll continue doing my show, and it's still going today, But
there's no bad vibes though.
No. I kind of do sometimes think, oh, okay, I really helped him, and now he's got.
Have you ever had that conversation with him?
No, I haven't actually, but it wasn't until
I've
sort
got
of
his
later
number.
on.
You want to call him now?
Yeah, let's call him. Let's get him
Joking.
But no, I do kind of think there is part of me that thinks, okay, yeah, no, maybe I could have got that show, and things could have been a lot different for me doing that, because again, radio is my love, and I would have loved to have done that show, and that would have been another platform for what I was doing.
How do you think it would have panned out? Because obviously Excalibur's show didn't really last as long as it could have.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been any different if you were doing it?
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I mean,
maybe because I might have been a little bit more respected within the scene for doing everything I'd done, or longevity. I don't know.
Yeah. On top of that, you had the experience from many years before.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he didn't have the experience. I'm just saying your experience spanned from so many years before.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why I was quite surprised. But I don't know. I don't really know. Whatever. I just kind of was just like, cool. But then, so I left Itch FM after 8 years. I don't really know why I left. Maybe because Suspect Packages has just got really busy and doing it every Sunday. There's a lot goes into a 2-hour show. It's not just rocking up, doing a show and leaving. It takes a day easily to work it out. And I left Itch FM but continued the show, but just did it once a month from my yard and uploaded it to my Mixcloud. And that's where it stayed for a while. And then I started doing another show. I was still getting people coming to my spot, to the live thing. So I've had everyone there, all sorts of people. So I was still doing the hip hop show. And then people were saying to me, whenever we do house parties and stuff, a DJ, I had a massive reggae collection, obviously still do. But people would say, you love your reggae so much. Why do you not let people know that? So that's when I started doing the Dub Chronicles show. Again, just recording it from my yard, putting it up on Mixcloud once a month, just me and my reggae collection. And then I got approached by a station in Guildford called Kane FM, who were a pirate, which I'd done a couple of things with Lowlife. So they had a Lowlife record show, and me and Last Skeptic did a couple of things on there when they were pirate. They are one of 3 stations in the country, Rinse being the other one, and I can't remember, maybe Kiss being the other one, and Kane FM were one of the 3 to get a legal license from being a pirate. Then they approached me about my Dub Chronicles show. Shout to Ambassador, because Ambassador, another guy on the station, he must have been listening to my Dub Chronicles show, and he's like, you've got to get this guy on. His record collection's sick. So, and then that's when I moved the Dub Chronicles show to Kane FM, where it still is. I've been doing that 10 years. And I did the Suspect Packages show there a while, for about 3 years. But that just got too much, having to do radio versions of everyone swearing. And a lot of artists just wouldn't give me the radio versions. So I'd be sitting there making radio versions before I went to the show, on top of trying to organise what I would be playing. And I was just like, you know what, I can't be doing with this anymore. So that's when I kind of stopped doing the live element on Kane. And then I took it back to how I had left Itch FM, just from my yard. And that's where it still is, 21 years later, still doing the show every month. But now it's slightly changed.
You still look 18.
Yeah, of course. Superhuman with super scope scanning night sights, propelling arms and wings that fly me through the foggy skylights.
There you go. Evidence he used to be a rhymer once upon a time.
It's I love doing the show, and then at the moment, so now it's with a station on the south coast called Stream 101. At the beginning of lockdown, a friend of mine started a station called Stream 101 Radio, and he said, I want you to do a show. So I started to do can I just play hip hop? And he was like, yeah, cool. So I went and played some hip hop, just my collection, because I was playing the UK stuff on my Suspect Packages show, and I just wanted to play what I play out, not just UK. So I did that, and then I started to think, actually, and this was now every 2 weeks. So I was like, this is all getting too much. So I was like, okay, let me continue the Suspect Packages show. I've been doing it for 20 years. It's stupid not to continue the name. But let me, because I'm doing it every 2 weeks, play a little bit of other stuff as well. And that's where it is now. And that's where it still is, every 2 weeks, every Monday.
So it must feel really good to know that you've stuck to your guns and you've kept what you started out with, and you're still doing it.
Yeah. I think with the hip hop show, I'd like to get a little bit more recognition for that, because no one has done a 100% UK hip hop show for as long as I have.
Okay.
Promoting UK hip hop. I mean, when we're talking hip hop, we're talking hip hop. We're not talking trap, grime, whatever. It's all morphed into now, you know. But hip hop wise, yeah, I've been there. I don't know how many people listen to the show. I know a lot of people will probably just download it and walk off and listen to it. It's a little bit disheartening, to be honest, that I don't get a lot of people hitting me up and saying, your show's sick, thank you. I don't claim to be the best DJ in the world ever. You don't listen to me for loads of skills. I just know a good tune, and I like to bring it home.
Let's be real. Loads of the DJs that are big name DJs are not the best DJs in the world either. They just play the right tracks for the right people.
Yeah.
An audience that's there for them. But we need to wrap this up, because it's coming to the time. But I just wanted to find out what you're up to nowadays. I mean, I understand you're working with Blah Records for one.
Yeah, so Blah approached me and said, can you handle all of our merch and mail order? We're getting too big, we're massive, and we need help. And I was like, yep, cool. So I do that for them. And I also have a record label of my own called Concrete Castle Dubs, which is putting out jungle, drum and bass, kind of breakbeat. There's even a bit of kind of acid house kind of stuff coming from it, but more with that kind of, again, that whole breakbeat, tempo kind of element with a little bit of, ragga in there. What I'm into, basically. We're now on the 5th release. There's another 8 waiting. And yeah, all vinyl. But yeah, I'm loving doing that. That's just fun, I've always loved my jungle. I've always loved the up-tempo break.
You mentioned earlier in the interview, you mentioned Hard Noise, Gunshot, and, people like myself and all the early UK hip-hop stuff. Do you feel that in any way inspired all that movement?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah, because a lot of those artists started making jungle. Before jungle even happened. People like Rebel MC. Rebel MC went on to be Congo Natty.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, all the early breakbeat stuff, a lot of those kids, or a lot of those men and ladies who came and started the early rave, early hardcore, a lot of them were hip hop heads, and they were sampling from their hip hop records because they were hip hop heads to make the drum and bass and jungle, the sort of breakbeat early hardcore stuff that then morphed into jungle. Yeah, a lot of them were hip hop heads. Prodigy, Liam from Prodigy was a massive hip hop head.
Yeah, of course. And I was going to say, I've heard so many big artists sample all of us.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah, and interestingly, a lot of them would sample from hip hop. Yeah. That was the hip hop records they had that was sampling the soul and funk. They weren't sampling from the soul and funk as hip hop heads were doing. They were sampling the hip hop
from the hip hop samples. Yeah, crazy. And you could tell because of the beats in the background that were changed, that we flipped.
Yeah,
and it was.
A lot of them were massive. Danny, who ran who ran Suburban Bass. He was a big hip hop head and ran the Boogie Time shop. So I run that label now, and I also set up a company teaching the love of DJing back to the youth and the grown-ups.
Is that the Vinyl Workshop?
Yeah, the Vinyl Workshop, which, basically the strapline is all DJ lessons for all ages and stages. And it literally has been that. It's been 8-9-year-olds right up to 55, 60-year-olds coming to me. DJs who have booked me have come to me. People from many miles away, from London, from Cornwall, have come to me because I'm teaching it in a way that no one else, I don't think, really does. Predominantly from vinyl, not just teaching them how to DJ, but teaching them all about records, where it started, why you've got 2 turntables.
When you say you're teaching them how to DJ, are you teaching them to mix records or to scratch and stuff?
Everything.
Okay, so
everything. I mean, I'm not a massive scratch DJ, but I can get by, so I can teach that. But yeah, and I mean, people come to me who are, like I say, who know what they're doing. I've had one person came to me from London and stayed in Winchester, where I live, where I'm based, and they stayed for 2 nights, and they came to me for a lot of sessions. Again, with a family, a father and son came from Cornwall, similar kind of thing. They stayed in Winchester for the weekend and came to me for like 8 hours worth of lessons. but I can tailor it to their needs. Like this one girl who came, she wanted to learn to beat match, and she couldn't do that unless she enrolled in a music production course. So I can tailor it to people's needs, and because I'm into so much music, soul, funk, disco, reggae, jazz, hip hop, jungle, drum and bass, broken beat, everything. I can do that because I've got all the records here, or you can bring your own, or we can do it digitally, off the laptop onto the decks. And then, that's kind of expanded now, and I've been doing stuff with Winchester University. Been in there 3 times now, doing the vinyl workshop showcase kind of thing, and showing that kind of thing to the students that are, the university students there. And I'm now about to start. Well, I have been doing some stuff with the local council all over Hampshire for the youth, some youth projects for underprivileged kids, basically, and teaching them the love of music, and hopefully it might spawn a few more music lovers to do what I do, and I would have loved to have had somebody my age, or when I was their age, I was 14, 15, this is the children I'm sort of working with now, to come and show me how to DJ.
So this is what I'm saying. What you've done has been inspirational, and the fact that after all these years, because we are now going into 25, 30 years for you, to know you're still carrying on. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. I think just the forefront of it is just having a mad passion for what I do. It's I've loved it.
But has there ever been a point when you haven't actually felt like you're doing this to inspire others to get what I'm saying? Because that's all you've ever done.
Not really. No. Only when sometimes it's been quite hard financially. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's not that financially rewarding. But going back to the vinyl workshop, it's really rewarding. Seeing people come in and be quite miserable, and then, or not know what they're doing, and then for them catching a beat or dropping a track in, or teaching them about music, not just DJing, teaching them about, because I take it from the soul breaks that are in hip hop, or jungle, and this has come from that, and we can mix these two, and there's a link from 1971 to 2021, and this is where and then okay, it's not just about DJing, and then look at this flexi disc,
Most wouldn't even know what that is.
No, this is it. This is what it's all about. It's about teaching the music is a media for an actual thing. It's not Alexa, can you play so I want to teach the physical element of it. I found I was naturally good at it because it's kind of what I've done.
Where can people find you?
Suspect Packages, Google it, you'll find me. The Vinyl Workshop, again, Google it, find me. Instagram, Facebook. The label, Concrete Castle Dubs, Google it. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and websites.
Anything else you want to say?
Not really, just thank you for having me very much. And, look out for, for what's coming on the record label. Look out for the Vinyl Workshop if you want to learn how to DJ. You just, you've got a workshop you want me to come to. If you want me to come and DJ for you, I do weddings sometimes.
For anybody who doesn't know what Disorda's been doing for the scene, it's incredible amounts. You need to go and find out about this guy because he has contributed so much to the scene, and I feel he's one of those guys, those unsung heroes that many people don't know about. So to find out more about Disorda, please follow him on all his connection pages. All the relevant links can be found in the description below. Comment, like, share, and click on that bell to receive the notifications. Until next time, thank you for watching. And thanks again for being here, bro.
Big up, sir.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
One shining moment from Diana Ross. And now, are you sitting comfortably, boys and girls? Because it's time to rave with Urban Hype. At number 11, it's A Trip to Crompton.
You, body my groove, cut the dip, all gruff.
the heat. I feel the heat. I want your body. I feel the heat.